You ever have a brilliant idea, a goal you were completely fired up about, but the second it got a little uncomfortable, you slammed on the brakes? That knot in your stomach, that nagging voice of doubt, that magnetic pull back to what's safe and familiar. We've all been there. But what if I told you that feeling isn't a stop sign? What if it's not a warning you're about to fail, but a signal you're about to grow? That feeling is what I call the discomfort glitch in your brain's programming. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to hijack that glitch, flip a hidden switch in your mind, and turn the very feeling you've been running from into the ultimate fuel for your own growth. To get this glitch, you first have to get your brain. Your brain isn't designed to make you happy, it's designed to keep you alive. Think of its core programming like an overprotective bodyguard. Its number one job is to scan for threats and keep you locked inside your comfort zone, the land of the safe and predictable. Anything outside that zone, learning a new skill, having a tough conversation, speaking in public, gets flagged as a potential danger. When your brain thinks you're heading for danger, it yanks the emergency brake. It floods your system with uncomfortable feelings, anxiety, self-doubt, nervousness, that cringy feeling of awkwardness. These feelings are powerful on purpose. They're designed to make you stop, turn around, and sprint back to safety. This is the discomfort glitch in action. From a survival standpoint, it's a feature, not a bug. It kept our ancestors from becoming a predator's lunch. But in the modern world, the same system that once protected us from tigers now protects us from growth. It stops us from applying for the dream job, starting the business, or having the one conversation that could change everything. Your brain sees discomfort and screams, "Stop!" building a wall between you and your goals. But science shows there's a way to walk right through it. Here's the secret. That uncomfortable feeling doesn't have to be a stop sign. It can be a starting pistol. The entire game changes when you learn to reframe what discomfort actually means. And no, this isn't about toxic positivity or just powering through. This is about a scientifically backed process called cognitive reappraisal, which is just a fancy way of saying you consciously assign a new meaning to an experience. When you reframe discomfort, not as a warning sign but as a progress indicator, its power over you starts to dissolve. Imagine you start a new workout. A few minutes in, your muscles burn. Do you stop and think, "Oh no, it's burning, this isn't working"? Of course not. You think, "This burn means it is working. This is the feeling of getting stronger." You already know how to relabel physical discomfort as a sign of progress. You can do the exact same thing with emotional discomfort. A massive study with over 2,100 adults found that when people were told to embrace discomfort as a sign of learning, they stuck with hard tasks longer, engaged more deeply, and were more open to new challenges. They didn't run from the feeling, they ran toward it. This works because the awkward, anxious feelings almost always show up before you see any actual results. That cringe you feel learning a new language comes way before you can hold a conversation. That anxiety before a presentation comes before the applause. By seeing the discomfort as proof that the activity is working, you give yourself the motivation to push through that brutal initial phase. Adopting this stress is enhancing mindset has been shown to create real physiological changes, like lowering levels of the stress hormone cortisol and boosting cognitive performance. You're not just tricking your brain, you're upgrading its operating system. You are actively changing your story from "this feeling is a threat" to "this feeling is the fuel I need to win." Okay, So, how do we actually do this? How do you take this from a neat idea to something you use every single day? It all boils down to a few key actions that will, over time, rewire your brain's response to discomfort. Each action. Step 1. Reframe discomfort as data. Your new mantra is, "This feeling is the feeling of growth." The next time you feel that knot of anxiety, don't just put up with it. Welcome it. See it as a notification on your phone that says, "Growth detected." Before you walk into an uncomfortable situation, consciously decide that the nervousness you feel is evidence you're stretching your boundaries. And that's the whole point. Research has shown that when people were specifically told to try to feel uncomfortable, they were more motivated, more engaged, and felt they made more progress toward their goals. This simple mental flip from threat to data changes everything. Think of it like a video game. When you face a tougher boss, the game gets harder. The difficulty isn't a sign you should quit, it's a sign you've leveled up. Discomfort is your personal level-up indicator. For example, researchers studying improv students found that the ones who were told to lean into feelings of awkwardness actually improvised for longer and took more creative risks. They embraced the discomfort as part of the process, which, paradoxically, made them better and more confident. Action Step 2. Become a mindful body detective. When an emotion like anxiety hits, our first instinct is to get lost in our heads. We start spiraling. Why am I feeling this? What if I fail? What will they think? This mental chatter just makes the feeling worse. Instead of getting lost in the story, drop into your body. Get curious. Ask yourself, where exactly is this feeling in my body? Is it a tightness in my chest? A churning in my stomach? If this sensation had a color, what would it be? Is it buzzing or is it heavy? By simply observing the physical side of the emotion without judgment, you stop being a victim of the feeling and become an observer of it. You create space between you and the discomfort. This practice helps you develop what psychologists call an observer self, the part of you that knows you are not your pain even while you're feeling it. This is incredibly empowering because it teaches your nervous system that you can handle the sensation. It's just a sensation, and like all sensations, it will eventually pass. Action Step 3. Master the micro-challenge. Flipping the discomfort glitch isn't about jumping off a cliff. It's about taking one small step off the curb. You build your tolerance for discomfort the same way you build a muscle, with progressive overload. This is the heart of what's known as distress tolerance. Every time you willingly face a small, manageable discomfort and stay with it, you are literally training your nervous system to handle more stress and recover faster. This is backed by psychological resilience theory, which shows that repeated exposure to controlled stressors builds you up, emotionally and physically. So, start small. If speaking up in meetings terrifies you, don't aim to give a 20-minute presentation. Your goal is to ask one prepared question. If you're anxious in social situations, don't try to be the life of the party. Your goal is to have one 5-minute conversation. These small steps slowly and sustainably expand your comfort zone, building your confidence with each tiny win. Action Step 4. Label the feeling to tame it. This one is so simple it's almost silly, but it's incredibly powerful. Just name the feeling. When that wave of anxiety hits, simply say to yourself, "This is anxiety," or I'm noticing the feeling of doubt. This isn't an affirmation, it's a classification. The simple act of labeling an emotion has been shown to dial down its intensity. Neuroscience tells us that when you put a name to a feeling, you shift brain activity from the reactive, emotional parts, like the amygdala, to the more rational, thinking parts, the prefrontal cortex. This brings your logical brain online, helping you manage the feeling instead of being managed by it. So often we try to ignore or suppress these feelings, which is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It's just going to pop up with more force later. Labeling is the opposite. It's looking at the beach ball saying, "Ah, a beach ball," and just letting it float there beside you. You acknowledge it without letting it knock you off course. The truth is, a life lived entirely inside your comfort zone is a life that doesn't grow. The magic, the achievements, the person you want to become, it all exists just one step outside that boundary. Discomfort isn't the barrier, it's the gateway. So my challenge to you is this: don't wait for some huge life-changing moment. Start today. Identify one small thing that triggers that feeling of discomfort, and then do it with this new mission, to feel the feeling as a signal of your own evolution. The long-term rewards of confidence, new skills, and new insights will far outweigh the temporary weirdness. So here is your first micro-challenge. In the comments below, tell me, what is one small, uncomfortable action you will take this week to hijack your discomfort glitch? Are you going to send that email? Sign up for that class? Have that conversation? Writing it down makes it real. And sharing it might just inspire someone else to take their own first step. Remember, every time you've pushed through discomfort in the past, whether it was a tough project or a personal fear, you were strengthening your own resilience. You already have proof that you can adapt and grow. The discomfort glitch is only a glitch when you misread the signal. Once you learn to see it correctly, it becomes your compass, pointing you directly toward what you're capable of. The path to a bigger, bolder life is paved with the very feelings you've been running from. Thanks for watching. If this video flipped a switch for you, give it a like and subscribe for more. Now go get uncomfortable.